Hello and welcome back. Today we are going to understand how to connect to databases using database connector, and I will show you how to fire queries using this database connector. Let us see. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new Mule project, database demo. I will write finish. Fine. Now, I want to talk to databases. So I need to add a module called as database module. So here on the right side, if I click on add modules, I can see database module. I will drag and drop it. Okay. So I want to actually fire a select query. So I can drag and drop select. But on which table? I need to have some tables on database, right? Which table, which database and all. So before I go further, let me actually use MySQL Workbench. I'm searching for MySQL Workbench. I'll connect to server. I'll give my password root. Okay. So here is the database Mule training DB created already. Let me delete it. If I want to show you freshly, drop the schema, drop it. How to create a database? Just right click, create schema, Mule training DB. Apply. This will create a database. Fine. I have a database with name Mule Training DB. I want to create tables. So actually, to make it simple, I have created a script for you. In my GitHub on day 9, here inside day 9 of my repository, I have an SQL, my Mule Training DB.SQL. Don't double click on it. Just right click and open it with Notepad or so. You can see the SQL. So again, I'm telling, don't double click on it. If you double click and if you're facing an issue, see what I'm doing. I'm right clicking, open with anything like Notepad. So I open. Here I have provided a script which I execute. It will create a database with name Mule Training DB. If not existing, it will use the database. Here it will drop the table if it existing, create database, table, product, and insert some dummy products as well. And also it is creating one more table called as product images and inserting some images into it. So I want all these queries, commands to be executed. I will copy all of them. Then I'll go to MySQL Workbench. I'll click on this icon plus SQL, and I'll paste this whatever I copied. Then I'll select all and then click on this icon. It will execute. Yep. So you can see the result of it. You can see that there are no errors. Now I'll click on this refresh button here in the schemas. There is a refresh button. I'll click on it. You can see tables. There is a table called as product. See how to fire a select query on the product. Just hover your mouse here and select the last icon. This will fire a select query and it is giving me the result. How many products are there which are inserted by default? 6 products are there. Okay. You queried the database using Workbench. How to do the same using Mule? Let us see. I have this project created and I have added the module, database module here. If you see in form.xml, the dependency will be added. See, Mule DB connector dependency is added. If you just add a module, automatically the corresponding will be added. Now, I want to fire a select query. So I'll drag and drop a flow with select component. So a flow is created and I want to get all products from this product table. So this flow is going to contain the logic to get all products. So get all products. I'm changing the name of the flow as get all products, and the name of this select component also select all products. Okay, then here I need to configure the connector configuration. I'll click on plus and I can configure. But as a good practice, as I always follow, any connector configuration, I'll create it inside globals.xml. So I'll create a new Mule configuration file, globals.xml. Okay, and I'll go to global element, click on create. Now I'll search for database. You can see there is database config. Okay. Now Mulesoft will be able to connect to any database. So if I see connection drop down, I want to configure database connection for MySQL. I will select MySQL connection. If you want to connect to Oracle, you can select Oracle. If you want to connect to SQL Server, you can select SQL Server, or Derby, or any generic database you can connect. But right now, I want to connect to MySQL, so I'll select this. Okay. As you know, Mule is internally using Java. And in Java, to connect to databases, if you know, in Java, we use something called as JDBC, Java Database Connectivity. So as Mule also is internally using Java, we need to tell and we need to configure which JDBC driver to use. This driver is used to talk to database. So as I am using MySQL, I have to configure the MySQL JDBC driver. So I'll click on configure and add a Maven dependency. Don't use local file or don't add this one. Always any dependency, it is best practice to add any dependency through Maven only. So I will select add Maven dependency. See, automatically Endpoint Studio is suggesting me use this 8.0. something. You can actually use the default. Finish. So the Maven is downloading the dependency and it is added to my project. Fine. What is the host name to connect? Where is MySQL installed? On local host. Port by default, I know that the port of MySQL is 3306. And what is the username? Root. What is the password to connect? I gave root. You can give your password. And what is the database to connect? Here the database name is Mule Training DB. Okay, I will write Mule Training DB. Now I can test connection whether I gave correctly or not. Let us see if test connection will be successful. Yes, test connection is successful. Okay, so I configured this global element which tells how to connect to database. Fine. Now for my select component, I will select the connector configuration from the global element. Good. So I'm telling to which database to connect. And what is the SQL query to fire? Select star from, what is the database table name? It is product. This is the simplest query I want to fire. It will get all the products. Right. Let us see what will happen. This query is not having any conditions or nothing dynamic. So if I have any conditions to be used, I can pass some dynamic parameters here that we will see in some time. Now this is the simplest query without any dynamic parameters. Select all products. Now this is a private flow which is not having any source. I want to call it. So what I'm going to do is I will drag and drop another flow with a listener. Again, here also I need to configure the HTTP listener, the global element. I'll go to globals, click on create HTTP listener config. As usual, I'll take the default 8081 port. Let it be. Then here in HTTP listener, I selected this global element slash. I will write products. So I will be able to hit this flow. I will rename this flow also as main flow. So I'll be able to hit this flow by making a HTTP request to localhost 8081 slash products. Now, you know already how to call another flow by using flow reference. Okay, I'll select get all products and I'll give the display name also the same. Fine. Now I will run this application and see whether I'll be able to make a request and get all the products. So I'll use Postman to make a request. I'll start Postman by the time the Mule application starts. Okay. So close all tabs. Fine. Now I'll give a request localhost 8081 slash products. I guess the application is not yet started. Okay, still it is starting. Let us wait for few more seconds. Okay, it got deployed. Now, if I give a request, oh, I got a response. Attempted to send invalid data through HTTP response. 500 is the status code. Actually, whenever you get such an error, make a habit to see the console. What is the problem? If you want to become a good developer, debugging skills are must for you. How do you debug? By seeing on the console, by seeing on the logs in the console, you'll be able to identify what is the problem. Runtime exception. It is saying it is not able to send this data. Data is invalid through HTTP response. So actually, you'll to understand the concept. Whenever we fire a query, the payload from the database will be an object of type called as a stream object by default. By default, it is a stream object. So in HTTP response, it was not able to send that stream object. That was the problem. So what we need to do is whatever data we get from database, we should be able to transform it to some data. We should read the stream, transform it to either XML or JSON. Then that XML or JSON can go as part of response. So actually what we need to do is we need to drag and drop transform message component after this and transform the data. I want the data to be transformed into JSON and simply I will write payload. So whatever is the payload coming from database, I want to convert it to JSON. Don't worry about this data wave. We'll understand more about transformations in a dedicated topic. But just right now in transform message, I have configured it to transform the output to JSON, just the payload, whatever. Now I saved it. If I save, automatically the application will get redeployed. Okay, it got redeployed. I'll clear the console. Now, if I give a request, hey, I got an array. If you see like this, it is an array in JSON. So I've got all the products up to product with ID 6. So I was able to query all products. Oh, but I don't want all products. I want products by brand name. How to do so? What I will do is I will drag and drop one more flow with a select. And in this flow, I'm going to write a logic to get products by name. Okay. Here, this select component also, I'll make it to select the global element. Then here the query is select star from product where. Okay, what is the column name? Brand underscore name. Brand underscore name is equals to colon brand. I will write. See, this is how you can give something called as a named parameter in SQL. This is a named parameter. The value I want to give dynamically. So when you have parameters or named parameters, you have to give values for that. I can write it in input parameters, fx, I will select. And here I have to write curly brackets. Curly brackets in data weave expression is nothing but an object. In object, we can have key value pairs. For this key brand, what is the value I want to give? I can hard code it to be HP. So I'll get always all HP products, but I don't want to hard code. What I'm expecting is I'm expecting a query parameter called as brand is equals to Apple or brand is equals to HP. If query parameter brand is present, then only I'll configure. Excuse me. Then only I'll configure the control to come to get products by name. So I'm expecting by the time it comes to this flow, I'm expecting a query parameter called as brand. So here I will write attributes dot query params dot brand. But is it a good practice to write an expression specific to HTTP in this private flow? Private flow does not have any source, right? Why do you expect that the call will always come through HTTP? The call may come to this flow through any other flow which is using something like FTP also as a source. So it is always a good practice not to use any protocol specific expressions. So what I will do is I will use vars. So it is this flow is expecting a variable called as brand that will be passed dynamically. This is how you can write parameterized query. This is a parameter in the query. So if you're having parameters in the query, this is how you can write. Fine. Now let us go to the main flow. Right now I was actually calling this get all products flow only. But now I'm going to use choice router after HTTP. And in the first one, I'll call get all products. And I'll drag and drop one more flow reference here inside choice. This I'll make it to point to get products by name. And always the best practice, change the display name to get products by name. And in the default, I just wanted to drag and drop here and just set the payload as invalid request. Oh, invalid request. Fine. Now I have to configure the conditions. Here, I want to write attributes. As this main flow, I know I'm having HTTP listener in the source. I can write a protocol specific expression. I will write attributes dot. Whenever I say automatically it is building and it is showing error, just ignore right now. Attributes dot query params dot brand name is equals to null, and attributes dot method is equals to get. So if you give a get request and no brand name, then it will try to get all products. I'll copy this expression. And then in the second when I'll give a reverse. Oh, and copy again. And then in the second when I will give a reverse, brand name not equals to null. Okay. So if brand name not equals to null, we are calling the get products by name flow. But in this flow, we are expecting a variable called as what? Brand. So before calling this flow, I have to set a variable. So I'll search for set variable transformer before calling the flow. I will set variable name is brand, but I want it to extract from query parameter called as brand. So I will write an expression attributes dot query params dot brand. So I'm extracting the query parameter brand and setting it as a variable, then calling the flow. So by the time the flow is called, already the variable brand is set. So it should work. Now, whether the control goes to get all products flow or get products by name flow, I'm expecting list of records. I want all of them to be converted to JSON. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag and drop transfer message after choice. Okay. So after firing a query, whatever is the result, that will be converted to JSON by this transformer. Okay. Always it's a good practice to give a name to the select also. Select products by name. See, even though you are an excellent programmer, if your naming conventions are not good, you will not be considered as a good programmer. So whenever you write something, give a good name so that anybody who is seeing will able to understand what this is doing, even without looking into the actual query or so, right? So that's the best practice. So fine, I have written everything. Let us check. I guess the application also got redeployed. I'll clear the console. Now give a request based on brand. Brand is equals to Apple. Hey, I'm getting all products. Very strange. Brand. Okay, here query parameter is brand. But what is the condition I gave here? Oh, here I was looking for brand name. So I'll change this query parameter which I am expecting as brand name. Here also I will change it to use brand name. You have to be very careful on what you are expecting. I intentionally made this mistake so that you will understand the mistakes, right? Whatever query parameter you are expecting, make sure that is same. Okay, I saved it and I hope it is getting redeployed. Let us wait for a few seconds. It is still building. Yep, it is done. Now, if I give a request for brand Apple, I think it is redeploying again. Oh, it is done. Let me check again. Did I get only products where brand is Apple? Yes. If I don't pass query parameter brand, I will get all the products. So you understood simply how to fire a query using select component. Now, I think it is a common sense. What if you want to insert, suppose if you want to add a product, what you can do, you can drag and drop insert component, and I'll give the name as add product. And what you need to do is for this insert, I'll use same connector, and then here I have to write the insert query, right? So how to write the insert query? Let me just tell you. I'll go to MySQL. I'll right click on the product table and send it to SQL insert statement. So this is the insert statement. As I know I'm connecting to Mule training DB, I will remove this. And this is insert statement. I'll make it into single line quickly. Okay. So this is the insert query. In the insert query, the values I have to give dynamically. Hey, let me check in this product table. Is product ID automatically generated? Normally, I want product ID to be automatically generated. So right click. Let me check alter table. You can see product ID is auto increment. It will be automatically incremented. So while inserting, I don't need to insert product ID. Fine. So I will not insert. I'll remove this product ID from here and also corresponding product ID from here. Now I have to pass all this. Actually, in Mule, what you have to do is if you want to give any dynamic parameter, you have to give like this colon brand. I'll give. So this is the name of the parameter which I'll be passing dynamically. Colon description, comma, colon name, comma, colon offer price, comma. I don't want offer valid until, let it be null. I have original price, colon original price. So 5 columns, 5 values. Okay. See, if I'm using name, it might be, I think, a key in SQL. So better I'll use P name and P description. See, they were actually in different color. Actually, they are predefined keywords in SQL. So I gave name, so I'll copy. And then I will use this as an SQL query for insert. Now, I have to write an expression and pass brand name, description, and all, right? Like this. So the key should be same as the parameter name without colon brand. Maybe I can expect it from payload. Let's assume that I'm expecting it from payload.brand, comma, p description. Whatever is the parameter, payload.description, p name, dot name, comma, offer price. Make sure that the keys are same as the parameter's name. Payload dot offer price, comma, original price. Payload dot original price. I'm expecting right now all these values from payload. It's up to you how to expect, right? So I wrote a flow where I can insert. Simple, right? Just similarly like that, you can use delete, update as well. So this is the flow, right? So wait, hey. So insert query, we understood how to fire an insert query. What you can do is you can expect um, the data to come to this flow through a post. So maybe I can use another route. Maybe here the control will come to default if it is post. I can call a flow reference and I can test it. I will leave it to you to maybe write another route for choice for adding product and call this flow reference and check it out. I will leave it for you. But this is how we actually talk to databases. Still, there is a lot more while we are talking to databases. I'll talk about the new topics, next topics in database in my next lecture. That's all. See you next lecture.